Marcus Thompson's fist connected with his cousin's jaw before anyone could stop him. Blood sprayed across the warehouse floor as DeShaun stumbled backward, still gripping the knife he'd held to 8-year-old Sarah's throat seconds earlier. Two homeless women strangers Marcus had known for less than 3 weeks tackled DeShaun's accomplices from behind, their desperate screams echoing through the abandoned Detroit factory. "Daddy!" Sarah's cry pierced through the chaos. This wasn't supposed to happen. 30 days ago, Marcus had a home, a job, and a future. Now he had nothing but the clothes on his back, and two unlikely allies who'd risk everything for a little girl who wasn't even theirs. But this story doesn't start here. It starts with a foreclosure notice and a promise Marcus made to his dying wife. A promise that would cost him everything and teach him what family really means. Drop a comment with your city below so I can see how far this story has traveled. Let's begin where it all fell apart. Marcus Thompson stood in the bathroom of Bobby's Gas and Go on Woodward Avenue at 5:47 a.m., splashing cold water on his face with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. The fluorescent light above flickered, casting shadows across the mirror shadows that made the dark circles under his eyes look even deeper than they felt. He was 42 years old, but right now he looked 60. "You got this," he whispered to his reflection. "You got this, man. Just get through today." The bathroom door burst open. His daughter Sarah, 8 years old, with her hair in 2 uneven pigtails he'd attempted that morning, rushed in. "Daddy, the man said we gotta buy something or leave." Marcus dried his face with rough paper towels that scratched his skin. "I know, baby girl, we're going." "But I'm hungry." The words hit him like a punch to the gut. Marcus reached into his pocket, $4.37 in change. He'd already spent $8.50 filling the gas tank of his 2008 Honda Civic, the car that had become their home 2 weeks ago. "How about we get you some breakfast at school?" he said, forcing brightness into his voice. "They got that free breakfast program, remember?" Sarah's face fell. "The kids make fun of me when I eat the free breakfast. They say only poor kids eat it." Marcus knelt down, ignoring the grimy bathroom floor. "Sarah, look at me. Look at Daddy." She met his eyes, those same brown eyes her mother Linda had, the ones that could see straight through any lie he tried to tell. "There's nothing wrong with needing help sometimes. Your mama used to say that people who look down on others for struggling are just scared they might struggle too someday. You hold your head up high, you hear me?" "Yes, Daddy." "That's my girl. Now let's get you to school." They walked back through the gas station. The clerk, a Pakistani man named Rashid, who'd been kind enough to let them use the bathroom for the past week, gave Marcus a sympathetic nod. "Your little one needs something to eat," Rashid asked quietly. Marcus's pride wanted to say no. His stomach, which hadn't seen food since yesterday's dollar menu burger, screamed yes, but he couldn't. "Here." Rashid slid a packaged honey bun and a small carton of orange juice across the counter. "On the house. For the little miss." "Rashid, I can't." "You can, and you will. Tomorrow, when things are better, you pay it forward. That's all I ask." Sarah's face lit up as she grabbed the honey bun. "Thank you, mister." Marcus blinked back tears. "Thank you," he managed. "I won't forget this." "I know you won't, brother. I know." Outside, the November cold bit through Marcus's security guard jacket, the navy blue one with the badge that said Thompson across the chest. The jacket from the job he'd lost 3 days ago when his supervisor caught him sleeping in his car during lunch break. "Can't have employees living on the property, Marcus. Company policy. I'm sorry." Sorry didn't pay bills. Sorry didn't put a roof over his daughter's head. Marcus helped Sarah into the back seat of the Civic, where she'd slept last night, curled up under their only blanket, a thin Goodwill comforter with Disney princesses on it. "Buckle up, baby girl." "Daddy." "Yeah." "When can we go home?" The question hung in the cold air between them. Marcus gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles turning white. "Soon," he lied. "Real soon." The truth was darker. The truth was that home, the two-story brick house on Hazelwood Street where Sarah had taken her first steps, where Linda had died in their bed 18 months ago, belonged to the bank now. The foreclosure had been final 3 weeks ago. The sheriff had physically removed them on October 28th, while neighbors watched from their porches, some with pity in their eyes, others with relief that it wasn't them. Marcus pulled into the drop-off lane at Martin Luther King Elementary. Sarah gathered her Disney backpack, the one that smelled like the car, now like old fast food and desperation. "I love you, Daddy." "I love you more, baby girl. You have a good day." "Okay, learn something new." "Okay." She climbed out, then turned back. "Daddy, are we gonna be okay?" Marcus forced his biggest smile. "We're gonna be better than okay, I promise." She nodded, wanting to believe him, then joined the stream of kids heading into the building. Marcus watched until she disappeared through the doors. Then he put his forehead against the steering wheel and let the tears come. "Linda," he whispered to the wife who'd been gone for 18 months, but felt like yesterday. "I'm trying. God knows I'm trying. But I don't know how much longer I can keep this up." His phone buzzed, the prepaid cell phone he'd bought for $29.99 at Walmart, the last one before his credit card maxed out. Unknown number. Marcus almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. "Hello? Is this Marcus Thompson?" A woman's voice, professional cold. "Yeah. Who's this?" "This is Jennifer Walsh from Detroit Community Bank. I'm calling regarding your outstanding debt of $47,000 from your mortgage foreclosure. Our records show." Marcus hung up. His hands were shaking again. $47,000. After they'd taken his house, the house he'd put $40,000 down on the house he'd paid into for 7 years, they still said he owed them $47,000. The phone rang again. Same number. Marcus turned it off. He started the car and drove. No destination in mind, just driving because moving felt better than sitting still with his thoughts. He passed the house on Hazelwood. A new family was moving and a young couple, maybe 30, with a little boy about Sarah's age. The man was unloading a U-Haul, while the woman directed him, both of them laughing about something. Marcus stopped the car across the street and watched them. That had been him and Linda once. Young and hopeful, and stupid enough to believe that if you worked hard and played by the rules, you could build something permanent. Then Linda got sick. Stage 4 breast cancer. The hospital bills started rolling in $15,000 for surgery, $30,000 for chemotherapy, $8,000 for radiation, $12,000 for experimental treatments that didn't work. Their insurance covered some of it, but the deductibles and co-pays mounted up like a tsunami of paper. Marcus had worked 3 jobs to keep up security guard during the day, Uber driver at night, weekend shifts at Home Depot. He'd drained their savings, maxed out every credit card, took a second mortgage on the house, and Linda still died. The couple across the street noticed him staring. The man's expression shifted from friendly to suspicious. Marcus drove away before they could call the cops about a strange black man in a beat-up Honda watching their house. He ended up at Riverside Homeless Shelter on East Grand Boulevard, a 3-story brick building that had been a school once, back when Detroit had money and hope. Now it was a warehouse for the city's discarded, the addicts, the mentally ill, the veterans who'd come home broken, the families who'd hit one too many bad breaks. People like him. Marcus had avoided this place for 2 weeks, sleeping in the car, convincing himself that shelters were for people who'd really given up, not for guys like him who were just between situations. But last night, when the temperature dropped to 28 degrees and Sarah's lips turned blue, even under the blanket, he'd realized he was out of options. He parked and sat there staring at the shelter's doors. A few people lingered outside, a man in a wheelchair smoking a cigarette, 2 women huddled together for warmth, a teenage kid who couldn't have been older than 16. His phone buzzed again. He'd turned it back on without thinking. This time it was a text from his brother Jerome in Atlanta. "Bro, I wish I could help. I really do. But with Keisha's medical bills and the new baby, we just don't have room. I'm sorry." Marcus stared at the message. Jerome had a 4-bedroom house in a nice suburb. He drove a Lexus, but he didn't have room. Translation: he didn't want the embarrassment of his homeless brother and niece sleeping on his couch. Marcus deleted the message and scrolled through his contacts. His mother had passed 5 years ago. His father had never been in the picture. Linda's parents had blamed Marcus for their daughter's death. If he'd had better insurance, maybe she could have gotten better treatment. Maybe she'd still be alive. His friends from the Marines. Most of them were dead, strung out, or had their own problems. The guys from work. They'd stopped returning his calls after he got fired. He was alone. No, not alone. He had Sarah. Marcus picked up his daughter from school at 3:15 p.m. She came out chattering about a story they'd read in class, something about a caterpillar that ate too much. He listened and smiled and pretended everything was normal while his stomach ate itself from hunger. "Daddy, can we get McDonald's?" "Not today, baby, but I got something even better." He drove to the public library on Gratiot Avenue. Inside it was warm. The librarian, Mrs. Chen, gave him a knowing look, but didn't say anything about the fact that he'd been bringing Sarah here every day after school for the past 2 weeks. "There's free cookies in the children's section," Mrs. Chen whispered to him. "Left over from story time." Marcus wanted to kiss her. Sarah settled in with the picture book while Marcus went to the computer stations. He opened his email. Nothing but rejection letters from the 17 jobs he'd applied to last week. He opened Indeed, searched for warehouse jobs Detroit. 63 new postings. He started applying, filling out the same information over and over. Name, address. He used the shelter's address, now work history references. An hour passed. 2 hours. Sarah brought him cookies, chocolate chip, slightly stale but still good. "Daddy, when are we going home?" "Soon, baby." "You always say soon." Marcus stopped typing. "I know. I'm sorry." "Is it because Mommy's not here anymore?" The question gutted him. Sarah was 8 years old. She shouldn't have to understand that her mother's death had caused a financial collapse that destroyed their family. She should be worried about homework and playground drama, not whether they had a place to sleep tonight. "It's complicated, baby girl, but Daddy's working on it." "Okay, I promise I'm working on it." At 5:00 p.m., Mrs. Chen gently informed them that the library was closing. Marcus and Sarah walked back to the car. The temperature had dropped again. Sarah shivered. "Are we going to the shelter tonight?" she asked quietly. "Yeah, baby, just for a little while." "I don't like it there." "I know. The bathroom smells funny, and the beds are hard, and there's people who cough all night." "I know, Sarah, I know. And some of the people look scary." Marcus stopped walking and knelt down to her level on the cold sidewalk. "Listen to me, those people aren't scary. They're just people who got knocked down by life same as us. Some of them made mistakes, some of them just got unlucky. But every single one of them is somebody's son or daughter, somebody's mama or daddy. You understand?" Sarah nodded slowly. "Good. Now come on. Let's go get in line before all the beds fill up." Riverside Shelter had a dinner service at 6:00 p.m., a meal of donated food served cafeteria style. Tonight it was spaghetti with meat sauce, green beans from a can, white bread and Kool-Aid that was more sugar than juice. Sarah wrinkled her nose at the green beans, but ate everything else. Marcus ate like he was storing up for winter because he was. After dinner, they lined up for bed assignments. The shelter had a family section, 8 rooms with bunk beds and a shared bathroom, but it only held 32 people, and there were 43 people in line tonight. Marcus could do the math. The intake worker, a heavy-set black woman named Gloria, who wore her hair in long braids and had kind eyes that had seen too much, shook her head as Marcus reached the front of the line. "Family section's full, baby. I can put you in the men's dorm and your little one in the women's—" "No." Marcus's voice was sharp. "No, we stay together." Gloria sighed. Marcus, I understand, but we got rules. She's 8 years old. She's not sleeping in a room full of strangers without me. Then what do you want me to do? I can't make beds appear out of thin air. A voice spoke up from behind them. They can have our spots. Marcus turned. 2 women stood there, one white with stringy blonde hair and a face that looked like it had been beautiful once before. Drugs or life, or both. Got to it the other wearing a hijab and carrying herself with a quiet dignity that seemed out of place in a homeless shelter. The blonde woman stepped forward. My name's Carol. This is Amina. We're in the family section room 6, but we don't got kids with us. We can move to the women's dorm. Your little girl needs her daddy. Marcus stared at them. You don't have to do that. I know we don't, Amina said softly. Her accent was Middle Eastern Syrian, maybe. But we want to. Gloria looked between them. Y'all sure the women's dorm is loud tonight? Got 3 women coming off meth, 1 with mental health issues. We'll be fine, Carol interrupted. We've dealt with worse. She looked at Sarah, who was half hidden behind Marcus's leg, and her expression softened in a way that made Marcus think maybe she'd had a daughter once too. Go on, Carol said to Gloria. Give them our room. Gloria made a note on her clipboard. Room 6. Thompson family. Y'all are blessed to have angels looking out for you. Marcus found his voice. Thank you. I don't know why you'd do this for strangers, but thank you. Carol shrugged. We're all strangers until we're not. Come on, let me show you where the room is. She led them down a hallway that smelled like industrial cleaner and despair. Room 6 was tiny 2-bunk beds, a small dresser, 1 window that looked out on an alley. The beds had thin mattresses and scratchy wool blankets. A crucifix hung on the wall. Someone had written, God is good, in marker on the ceiling. Bathrooms down the hall, Carol explained. Showers hot in the morning, lukewarm by afternoon, cold by night. Breakfast is at 7. Don't leave nothing valuable in the room, we got some folks here who'll steal. Lock's broken on that dresser. You got any questions? Marcus shook his head, overwhelmed. Good. I'm in the women's dorm if you need anything. Room 3B. And hey, she looked at Sarah. What's your name, sweetie? Sarah. That's a pretty name. You know what, Sarah, I got something for you. Carol reached into her pocket and pulled out a small stuffed animal, a brown teddy bear, worn but clean. Found this at Goodwill yesterday. Thought maybe some little girl might need it. You want it? Sarah looked up at Marcus for permission. He knotted his throat too tight to speak. Thank you, Sarah whispered, clutching the bear. Carol smiled a real smile that lit up her damaged face. You're welcome, baby. Now you take care of your daddy, okay? He looks like he needs somebody to take care of him. After Carol left, Marcus and Sarah got ready for bed in silence. Sarah used the bathroom down the hall. Marcus stood guard outside the door and changed into her pajamas, which were really just an old t-shirt of Linda's that Sarah had claimed after her mother died. They climbed into the bottom bunk together. The mattress was hard and lumpy, but it was a bed, not a car seat. Sarah curled into Marcus's chest the way she used to when she was a baby. Daddy. Yeah, baby girl. That lady was nice. Yeah, she was. Do you think there's more nice people here? Marcus thought about Gloria and Rashid and Mrs. Chen and all the people who'd shown them kindness when they had nothing to offer in return. Yeah, he said. I think there are nice people everywhere. You just gotta look for them. Sarah yawned. I'm gonna look for them tomorrow. That sounds like a good plan. Within minutes, Sarah was asleep, her breathing deep and steady. Marcus lay awake, staring at the ceiling at those words, God is good. Was he? Was God good? Because from where Marcus was lying in a homeless shelter, broke, jobless, sleeping on a mattress that probably had bedbugs, it was hard to see the goodness. But then he thought about Carol giving up her room, about Rashid's honey bun, about Mrs. Chen's cookies, about the teddy bear in Sarah's arms. Maybe God wasn't good, but maybe people could be. And maybe that was enough. Marcus closed his eyes and for the first time in 3 weeks, slept. He dreamed of Linda. She was sitting on the porch of the house on Hazelwood, wearing the yellow dress she'd loved, the one he'd buried her in. She was smiling. "You're doing okay, baby," she said. "You're doing just fine." "I lost everything," Marcus told her. "I lost the house. I lost the cars next. I can't feed our daughter. I'm failing her." Linda shook her head. "You're not failing her. You're showing her what it means to keep fighting when everything's against you. That's not failure, Marcus. That's courage." "I don't feel courageous. I feel scared." "Courage is being scared and doing it anyway. You taught me that. Remember when I was sick?" She stood and walked to him, her hand cupping his cheek. "You kept your promise. You didn't let them take Sarah. You're keeping us together. That's all that matters." "I miss you so much." "I know, baby. I miss you too. But you're not alone. You're never alone." She pointed behind him. Marcus turned and saw Carol and Amina standing there along with Rashid and Gloria and Mrs. Chen and dozens of other faces he didn't recognize yet. "You're building a new family," Linda said. "Let them in, Marcus. Let them help you. You can't do this alone." "I don't know how." "Yes, you do. You've been doing it. You just gotta keep going." Marcus woke to sunlight streaming through the window and Sarah poking his shoulder. "Daddy, it's breakfast time. The lady said they got pancakes." Marcus sat up, his back aching from the mattress. For a moment, he didn't remember where he was. Then it all came flooding back, the shelter, Carol, the dream. "Pancakes sound good," he said. "Let's go eat." In the cafeteria, Carol and Amina were sitting at a corner table when they saw Marcus and Sarah. Carol waved them over. "Saved you seats," she said. "Figured you might want company." They ate together, 4 strangers sharing donated pancakes and syrup that was mostly corn syrup. Carol told jokes that made Sarah laugh. Amina showed Sarah how to fold a napkin into the shape of a swan. Marcus felt something inside him unclench slightly. After breakfast, Carol pulled Marcus aside. "Listen, I know you don't know me from Eve, but Amina and we've been here for 8 months. We know how this place works. You need anything? Job leads, places to get free clothes for your girl, how to work the system. You ask us, okay? Why are you helping us?" Carol's smile faded. "Because I got a son. Tommy. He's 9 now. I lost custody 3 years ago when I was using. Been clean 18 months, but the court won't give him back. Says I don't got stable housing, stable income. Says I'm a danger." Her voice cracked. "I can't help my boy. But maybe I can help yours. Maybe that counts for something." Marcus understood then. They were both trying to save children they couldn't hold. "It counts," he said. "It counts for a lot." Amina joined them. "I have a daughter too," she said quietly. "Fatima. She's 7. She's in Syria with my mother. I came here as a refugee 4 years ago. I was supposed to bring her once I got settled, got a job, got a home. But I got sick. Breast cancer like your wife. The medical bills." She trailed off. Marcus didn't need her to finish. He knew that story. He'd lived it. "So now I'm here," Amina continued. "And Fatima is there. And I don't know if I'll ever see her again." The 3 of them stood in silence. 3 parents who'd lost their children in different ways, bound together by failure and hope, and the desperate need to believe that tomorrow might be different. "We're gonna help each other," Carol said firmly. "All of us. We're gonna figure this out." Marcus looked at these 2 women, one a recovering addict, one a refugee with cancer, and thought about Linda's dream, about building a new family. "Yeah," he said. "We're gonna figure this out." What Marcus didn't know, what none of them knew, was that in 3 weeks Sarah would be gone, that DeShaun Thompson would come back into their lives with a debt to settle and a knife to wield, that these 2 women he barely knew would become the only thing standing between his daughter and death. But that morning, Eating pancakes in a homeless shelter, Marcus allowed himself to hope. And sometimes hope is all you need to take the next step, even when that step leads straight into hell. Over the next 3 days, Marcus learned the rhythm of shelter life. Wake at 6:30 when Gloria banged on the doors. Breakfast at 7. Job hunting until noon. Pick up Sarah from school at 3:15. Dinner at 6. Lights out at 10. The days blurred together like a fever dream, each one the same as the last, except for the slow erosion of hope. On the 4th morning, Carol found Marcus in the computer room staring at his email. "Another rejection?" she asked. "5 more." Marcus rubbed his eyes. "That makes 32 total. Nobody wants to hire a guy with a homeless shelter for an address." Carol sat down at the computer next to him. "So don't use the shelter address." "What am I supposed to use? The car. Use mine." Marcus looked at her. "What? My sister's address. We ain't close, but she lets me use it for mail. I'll tell her you're a friend. Give potential employers something that looks stable." "Carol, I can't ask you to." "You didn't ask. I'm offering. Big difference." She scribbled an address on a scrap of paper and handed it to him. 3847 Livernois Avenue, Apartment 2B. Memorize it. Use it. Get yourself a job so you can get your baby out of here. Marcus took the paper, his hand shaking slightly. "Why are you doing this?" Carol was quiet for a moment, her fingers drumming on the desk. "You really want to know?" "Yeah." "Because when I lost Tommy, when they took him away, I stood in that courtroom and watched every single person who was supposed to care about me turn their backs. My mama said I was a disgrace. My sister said I was poison. Tommy's daddy said I deserved to lose him. And you know what? They were right. I did deserve it. But that didn't make it hurt less." She turned to face Marcus directly. "So when I see a good man trying to do right by his kid fighting with everything he's got, I'm gonna help him. Because maybe if enough people had helped me, Tommy would still be mine." Marcus didn't know what to say, so he just reached over and squeezed her hand. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. Just get the job." That afternoon, Marcus updated his resume with Carol's sister's address and applied to 15 more positions. One of them was for a warehouse supervisor at Detroit Distribution Center, a massive facility that handled logistics for half the auto plants in Michigan. The pay was $52,000 a year with benefits. The application asked for 3 professional references. Marcus put down his old supervisor from the Marines, a guy from Home Depot who'd always liked him, and took a chance on the third one. He put down Rashid from the gas station. At 3 o'clock, he picked up Sarah from school. She climbed into the car with her backpack and immediately burst into tears. Marcus's heart stopped. "Baby, what happened? Did someone hurt you?" "No," Sarah sobbed. "It's worse." "What could be worse?" "Mrs. Patterson said we have to do a family tree project. We have to bring in pictures of our family and our house and write about where we live. And I don't have pictures because they're all at the old house, and I can't write about where we live, because we live in a shelter, and everyone's gonna know we're homeless, and they're gonna make fun of me." The words came out in a rush snot and tears mixing on her face. Marcus pulled over on a side street and climbed into the back seat, pulling Sarah into his lap. Okay. Breathe, baby girl. Just breathe." Sarah hiccuped, trying to catch her breath. "I don't want to do the project." "When's it due?" "Friday." That gave them 4 days. Marcus thought fast. "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make the best family tree Mrs. Patterson has ever seen. We're going to put Mommy on there, and Grandma Thompson and Uncle Jerome, even though he's being a jerk right now. And we're going to put pictures, yeah, but they don't have to be from our old house." "Where are we going to get pictures?" "The library. Mrs. Chen's got computers with printers, right? We'll find pictures online, print them out, make it look nice. And for where we live, you're going to write about what makes a home, not the building, the people. You understand?" Sarah wiped her nose on her sleeve. "I guess." "That's my girl. Now come on. Let's go to the library and start working on this." They spent 2 hours at the library. Sarah drew a tree with construction paper Mrs. Chen donated. They printed out generic family photos from free stock photo websites. Marcus felt a little dishonest about it, but what choice did he have? They couldn't use real photos because all their family photos were in storage, and Marcus couldn't afford the $50 monthly fee to access the storage unit. While Sarah worked on her project, Marcus's phone rang. Unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something made him answer. Hello. Is this Marcus Thompson? Yeah. This is David Chen from Detroit Distribution Center. I'm calling about your application for the warehouse supervisor position. Marcus's heart started pounding. Yes, sir. I'd like to schedule an interview. Are you available tomorrow at 10 a.m.? Yes, absolutely. I'll be there. Great. Bring 2 forms of ID and be prepared to discuss your management experience. See you tomorrow, Marcus. The line went dead. Marcus sat there, phone in hand, unable to believe what just happened. Daddy? Sarah looked up from her family tree. You okay? Yeah, baby girl. I'm better than okay. I got a job interview. Sarah's face lit up. Does that mean we can go home? Not yet, but maybe soon. Maybe real soon. That night at the shelter, Marcus told Carol and Amina about the interview. They were in the cafeteria after dinner, Sarah off playing with some other kids in the common room. That's wonderful, Amina said. What will you wear? Marcus looked down at his clothes jeans with a hole in the knee, a t-shirt that had seen better days. I got my security guard uniform. It's the only professional thing I own. Carol shook her head. You can't wear that. You'll look desperate. I am desperate. Yeah, but they don't need to know that. Wait here. She disappeared and came back 10 minutes later with a suit on a hanger, a navy blue suit, slightly worn, but clean and pressed. Where did you get that? Marcus asked. There's a donation closet in the basement. People give us their old work clothes. This one's been sitting there for months. Nobody wants to wear a suit when they're living on the street. But you need it. Marcus took the suit. It looked about his size. I don't know what to say. Say you'll nail that interview and get your daughter out of here. I'll nail it. Amina reached into her bag and pulled out a tie, a simple blue tie with thin gray stripes. This was my husband's, she said quietly. He died in Syria before I came here. I keep it to remember him, but I think he would want you to have it, for luck. Marcus's throat tightened. Amina, I can't take your husband's tie. Yes, you can, and you will. When you get that job, you can give it back. Until then, it's yours. Marcus held the tie like it was made of glass. Thank you, both of you. I don't know how I'm ever going to repay this. Carol waved him off. You can repay us by being the good man I know you are. By showing Sarah that the world still has decent people in it, by not giving up. That night, Marcus lay awake in bed with Sarah curled against him, thinking about the interview, thinking about all the ways it could go wrong. What if they didn't like him? What if they could tell he was homeless just by looking at him? What if his references didn't pan out? But then he thought about Carol and Amina, about Rashid and Gloria and Mrs. Chen, about all the people who'd shown him kindness when he had nothing to give in return. They believed in him. Maybe it was time he started believing in himself. The next morning, Marcus woke at 5 a.m. He showered in the shelter bathroom, shaved carefully with a disposable razor, and put on the suit. It fit almost perfectly, just a little loose in the shoulders. He knotted Amina's husband's tie, his fingers remembering the movements from his Marines days when dress uniforms were mandatory. He looked at himself in the bathroom mirror. For the first time in weeks, he looked like a man instead of a ghost. Gloria caught him on his way out. Look at you, she said, smiling. Going to knock 'em dead. I hope so. Marcus, listen to me. When you walk into that building, you hold your head high. You're a veteran. You're a father. You've survived things that would break most men. Don't you dare let them see you as anything less than what you are. Yes, ma'am. And Marcus, when you get that job, not if, When you remember where you came from. You remember the people who helped you. You hear me. I hear you. Detroit Distribution Center was a massive complex of warehouses on the east side, surrounded by chain-link fencing and security checkpoints. Marcus parked the Honda in the visitor lot and walked to the main office, trying to project confidence he didn't feel. The receptionist, a young woman with bright red hair, smiled at him. You must be Marcus Thompson. Mr. Chen is expecting you. Third floor, office 304. Marcus took the elevator up his palms, sweating. The building was clean and modern, everything the shelter wasn't. People moved through the hallways with purpose, carrying clipboards and talking on phones. This was the world of employed people, of people who had homes and paychecks and futures. He could belong here. He had to belong here. Office 304 had David Chen, operations manager, on the door. Marcus knocked. Come in. David Chen was younger than Marcus expected, maybe 35, Asian, wearing khakis and a company polo shirt. His office was neat and organized with photos of his family on the desk. Marcus, good to meet you. David stood and shook his hand. Please sit. Marcus sat, forcing himself not to fidget. I've reviewed your application, David said, flipping through papers. 8 years in the Marines, honorable discharge. 3 years at Allied Security. Experience at Home Depot. No college degree, but plenty of practical experience. Your references were glowing, by the way. Rashid Ahmed called me personally to vouch for you. He did. He did. Said you were the most honest man he'd ever met. That means something in this business. David leaned back in his chair. So Marcus, tell me, why do you want this job? Marcus had prepared an answer, something professional about career growth and challenging opportunities. But looking at David Chen at his family photos, he decided to tell the truth. I want this job because I have an 8-year-old daughter who's sleeping in a homeless shelter, and I need to get her out of there. I want it because I've spent the last month watching my child go hungry and cold and scared, and I'm tired of feeling helpless. I want it because I'm a good worker and a good man, and I deserve a chance to prove that. David didn't speak for a long moment. You're currently homeless. Yes, sir. Lost my house to foreclosure 4 weeks ago. Been staying at Riverside Shelter since. And you put down an address on Livernois. That's my friend's address. I didn't want to lie to you, but I also didn't want you to dismiss me because of where I'm sleeping. I need you to know that I'll show up every day. I'll work harder than anyone you've got. I'll earn this. David tapped his pen on the desk. You know what, Marcus, I grew up in a homeless shelter. My parents came here from Taiwan with nothing. We lived in a shelter for 2 years while my dad worked as a dishwasher and my mom cleaned houses. So I know what you're going through. I know what it's like to feel invisible. He stood up. Let me show you the warehouse. They spent the next hour touring the facility. David explained the operation, receiving shipments, organizing inventory, coordinating with truck drivers, managing a crew of 15 workers. It was hard work, physical work, but Marcus had done harder. Back in the office, David made his decision. I'm going to offer you this job, Marcus. $52,000 a year, full benefits after 90 days. You'll start Monday, 6 a.m. That work for you? Marcus couldn't speak. His vision blurred with tears he refused to let fall. Yes, he managed. Yes, that works. Good. HR will process your paperwork this afternoon. You'll need to provide direct deposit information and fill out tax forms. We'll get you set up with a uniform and a security badge. Welcome to DDC. They shook hands. Marcus left the building in a daze. In the parking lot, he sat in his car and called Carol. I got it, he said when she answered. I got the job. Carol screamed so loud he had to pull the phone away from his ear. I knew it. I knew you would. Marcus, that's amazing. I start Monday. Monday. That's 3 days away. Oh my God. Amina, he got the job. He heard Amina's voice in the background, excited and happy. Marcus felt something unfamiliar spreading through his chest. Hope. Real, tangible hope. Carol, thank you. For the address, for the suit, for everything. You did this yourself, Marcus. We just gave you the tools. Now you go pick up that baby girl and tell her the good news. Marcus did exactly that. When Sarah got in the car that afternoon, he turned around and grinned at her. Guess what? What? Daddy got a job. Sarah's eyes went wide. Really? Really? A good job. Which means in a couple months we're gonna have our own place again. Sarah threw her arms around his neck from the back seat, nearly choking him. I knew you could do it, Daddy. I knew it. That night at the shelter, Carol and Amina threw Marcus an impromptu celebration. Gloria let them use the cafeteria after hours. Someone had donated a cake for a resident's birthday, but that resident had left the shelter that morning, so Gloria brought it out for Marcus instead. It was a cheap grocery store cake with Happy Birthday in blue frosting, but it was the best thing Marcus had eaten in weeks. Sarah ate 2 pieces and fell asleep in Marcus's lap, chocolate frosting on her face. Amina covered her with a blanket. You did good, she told Marcus. Your wife would be proud. I hope so. Carol raised her cup of fruit punch. To Marcus, and to new beginnings. They all raised their cups and drank. Marcus felt something he hadn't felt since Linda died. He felt like maybe, just maybe, things were going to be okay. The next 3 days passed in a blur. Marcus filled out paperwork. He opened a checking account at a local bank so DDC could direct deposit his paychecks. He calculated how long it would take to save enough for first month's rent and security deposit on an apartment, probably 8 weeks if he was frugal. Sarah's family tree project was a hit. Mrs. Patterson gave her an A- and displayed it in the hallway. Sarah came home beaming. Mrs. Patterson said my part about what makes a home was very mature, she reported proudly. That's because you're a very smart girl, Marcus told her. On Sunday, the day before Marcus started his new job, he took Sarah to the park. They couldn't afford to do much, but the park was free. Sarah played on the swings while Marcus sat on a bench watching her, memorizing this moment. Soon, things would be different. Soon, they'd have a real home again. Daddy, push me, Sarah called. Marcus got up and pushed her swing higher and higher until she was shrieking with laughter. She looked so much like Linda in that moment, same smile, same joy in her eyes. Higher, Daddy. You're gonna fly away. That's okay, you'll catch me. And he would. He'd always catch her. They stayed at the park until the sun started to set. On the walk back to the car, Sarah slipped her hand into his. Daddy. Yeah, baby girl. Even though we don't have our old house anymore, we're still a family, right? The strongest family there is. And Carol and Amina are part of our family now, too. Marcus thought about that. About how Carol had given up her room that first night. About Amina's husband's tie, which he'd carefully folded and placed in his one suitcase. About how these 2 women strangers just a few weeks ago had become the support system that kept him going. Yeah, he said. They're family. Good. I like them. Me too, baby. Me too. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. Tomorrow he'd start his new job. Tomorrow he'd begin the climb back to normalcy. He should have been excited, but instead, he felt anxious. What if he messed it up? What if he couldn't handle the job? What if he failed Sarah again? Around midnight, he gave up on sleep and went to the common room. Amina was there sitting by the window, reading a worn paperback. Can't sleep, she asked. Nervous about tomorrow. That's normal. First days are always hard. Marcus sat down next to her. Can I ask you something? Of course. How do you do it? How do you keep going when everything's fallen apart? Amina closed her book and looked out the window at the Detroit skyline. You want to know the truth? Yeah. Some days I don't keep going. Some days I lie in bed and think about giving up. About letting the cancer win, about stopping treatment, about just stopping. But then I think about Fatima, about how she's waiting for her mama to come get her. And I think maybe today's not the day to give up. Maybe I'll try one more day." She turned to Marcus. "And then tomorrow comes, and I think the same thing. Maybe one more day. And those days add up. And here I still am." "Do you ever think you'll see her again? Your daughter?" "I have to believe I will, because if I stop believing that I might as well be dead already." They sat in silence for a while. Finally, Marcus spoke. "Thank you. For the tie. For everything." "You're welcome. Now go get some sleep. Tomorrow you have a job to start." Marcus went back to his room. Sarah was sprawled across the bottom bunk, snoring softly. He climbed in carefully, trying not to wake her, and closed his eyes. This time, he dreamed of the future. Of an apartment with Sarah's name on the lease. Of grocery shopping without counting every penny. Of buying Sarah new clothes that actually fit. Of stability. He woke to Gloria banging on the doors. "Rise and shine. Breakfast in 30 minutes." Marcus got up, got dressed in his DDC uniform, and got ready to start his new life. Carol caught him on his way out. "You look official," she said. "I feel official." "You're gonna do great, Marcus. I know it." She handed him a brown paper bag. "What's this?" "Lunch. Peanut butter and jelly apple chips. Nothing fancy, but you can't work on an empty stomach." Marcus hugged her, surprising them both. "Thank you, Carol, for everything. Go on now. Don't be late on your first day." Marcus drove to DDC and clocked in at exactly 6 a.m. His supervisor, a gruff man named Ray, showed him around again and introduced him to his crew. They were a mix of ages and backgrounds. 2 young guys fresh out of high school. A woman in her 50s who'd been there for 20 years. A couple of guys around Marcus's age who looked him over with neutral expressions. "All right, people," Ray announced. "This is Marcus Thompson, your new supervisor. Marcus is going to be handling scheduling, inventory management, and quality control. You got questions or problems, you bring them to Marcus. Marcus, you got questions or problems, you bring them to me. Everyone clear?" A chorus of "Yes, sir," and "Got it." Ray turned to Marcus. "Think you can handle it?" "Yes, sir." "Good. Let's get to work." The first day was brutal. 8 hours on his feet, learning systems, memorizing procedures, trying to earn the respect of workers who didn't know him and had no reason to trust him. But Marcus had been through worse. He'd survived boot camp. He'd survived Iraq. He'd survived losing his wife and his home. He could survive this. At 2 p.m. during his break, he called the shelter. Gloria put Sarah on the phone. "Daddy, how's the job?" "It's good, baby girl. I'm working hard." "I'm proud of you." Those 4 words made every aching muscle, every moment of doubt worth it. "I'm proud of you too. You be good for Gloria, okay?" "I will. Love you, Daddy." "Love you more." Marcus finished his shift at 3 p.m. and drove straight to Sarah's school to pick her up. She ran to the car like she did every day, but today felt different. Today, he was employed. Today, he had a paycheck coming. Today, they had a future. "How was school?" he asked. "Good. We learned about fractions." "Fractions? Huh, you gonna teach Daddy about fractions?" Sarah launched into an explanation involving pizzas and pie slices. Marcus listened and nodded and felt his heart swell with love for this kid who could still find joy in learning, even when her world had been turned upside down. They went back to the shelter. Marcus changed out of his uniform and helped Sarah with homework. Dinner was chicken and rice and canned corn. After dinner, Carol pulled Marcus aside. "How was day 1? "Exhausting, but good." "You gonna make it?" "Yeah, I'm gonna make it." Carol smiled. Never doubted it for a second. That night, after Sarah fell asleep, Marcus lay in bed and did math in his head. His first paycheck would come in 2 weeks. After taxes, probably around $1,500. He needed to save for an apartment first month, last month, security deposit. That was maybe $3,000. Another 4 paychecks. 8 more weeks. 8 weeks until they could leave this place. 8 weeks until Sarah had her own room again. 8 weeks until normal. He could do 8 weeks. What Marcus didn't know was that he didn't have 8 weeks. He had 12 days. 12 days until DeShaun Thompson would show up at the shelter asking questions. 12 days until Sarah would disappear. 12 days until the choice he'd made 5 years ago to testify against his own cousin would come back to destroy everything he'd fought to build. But that night, lying in a homeless shelter with his daughter asleep beside him, and hope finally flickering in his chest, Marcus allowed himself to believe that the worst was over. He was wrong. The worst was far from over. It was just beginning. Marcus's second week at DDC went smoother than the first. He learned the inventory system, memorized the loading dock schedules, and even got Ray to crack a smile when he reorganized the filing system. The crew was warming up to him too. The woman who'd been there 20 years, Denise, brought him coffee on Thursday morning. "You're doing good, Thompson," she said. "Better than the last supervisor we had." "Yeah." Marcus took the coffee gratefully. What happened to him? Got caught stealing. Selling inventory out the back door to his cousin's pawn shop. Idiot. Marcus thought about family and loyalty, and how quickly those things could turn toxic. He thought about DeShaun, who he hadn't seen or heard from in 5 years, not since the trial. DeShaun, who'd looked at him across that courtroom and mouthed, "You're dead," while the bailiff led him away in handcuffs. But that was ancient history. DeShaun was locked up in Jackson State Prison, doing 8 to 15 for distribution and assault with a deadly weapon. Marcus had checked the Michigan Department of Corrections website obsessively for the first year after the trial, watching DeShaun's release date like it was a countdown to doomsday. But eventually, he'd stopped checking. Eventually, he'd convinced himself that when DeShaun got out, he'd have moved on, found new targets for his rage. Marcus was wrong about that too. On Friday afternoon, Marcus's first paycheck hit his account. He checked his phone during break and saw the deposit notification. $1,473. He stared at those numbers until they blurred. More money than he'd seen in one place since before Linda got sick. He called Carol immediately. "It's there," he said. "The money, it's real." Carol laughed. "Of course it's real. You worked for it, didn't you?" "Yeah, but I keep thinking someone's gonna take it back. Like it's a mistake." "It's not a mistake, Marcus. It's yours. You earned every penny." That night, Marcus took Sarah out to dinner. Not McDonald's, not the dollar menu. A real restaurant. Just a Coney Island diner, but to Sarah, it might as well have been a palace. She ordered a cheeseburger with fries and a chocolate milkshake. Marcus got the same. They sat in a booth by the window and ate slowly, savoring every bite. "This is the best burger I ever had," Sarah declared, ketchup on her chin. "Better than McDonald's. Way better." Marcus watched his daughter eat and felt his throat tighten. This was all he wanted, just to give his kid a normal meal in a normal place. Was that too much to ask? After dinner, they walked past a storefront with apartments advertised in the window. Marcus stopped and read the listings. 2-bedroom in Ferndale, $1,200 a month plus utilities. 1-bedroom in Royal Oak, $900. Studio in Hazel Park, $750. "Daddy, what are you looking at?" "Just looking at apartments, baby girl. Seeing what's out there." Sarah pressed her face against the glass. "When can we get one?" "Soon. Maybe 6 more weeks. I need to save up enough for the deposit." 6 weeks isn't that long. Marcus ruffled her hair. "No, baby. It's not that long at all." They drove back to the shelter. Gloria was at the front desk, her usual spot, doing a crossword puzzle. "Y'all have a good dinner?" she asked. "The best," Sarah said. "I had a milkshake." "Well, aren't you fancy?" Sarah ran off to find Carol and Amina. Gloria waited until she was out of earshot, then leaned forward. "Marcus, I need to talk to you about something." The serious tone in her voice made his stomach drop. "What's wrong?" "Probably nothing." But a man came by this afternoon asking about you and Sarah. Marcus went cold. What man? Black guy, tall, maybe 6'2", had a snake tattoo on his neck, said he was your cousin, wanted to surprise you. The world tilted. Marcus gripped the edge of the desk. What did you tell him? Nothing. Told him we don't give out information about residents. He got mad, started saying he had a right to see his family. I told him to leave or I'd call the police. He left, but Marcus, he didn't look like good news. DeShaun. It had to be DeShaun. But how Marcus pulled out his phone and opened the Department of Corrections website with shaking hands. He searched for DeShaun Thompson, inmate number 847392. Status released. Date, October 1st. October 1st. 5 weeks ago. 5 weeks that DeShaun had been out and Marcus hadn't known. Hadn't checked. Hadn't protected his daughter. Marcus. Gloria's voice seemed far away. You okay? No. Marcus's voice was hoarse. No, I'm not okay. That's DeShaun. My cousin. I testified against him 5 years ago. He swore he'd kill me. Gloria's eyes widened. Oh, Lord. Marcus, you need to call the police. And tell them what? That my cousin came looking for me. That's not illegal. He threatened you. 5 years ago. In a courtroom. They're not going to do anything about that. Marcus ran his hands over his face. His mind was racing. DeShaun knew where they were. Knew about Sarah. What if he came back? What if he came back when Marcus was at work? Gloria, I need you to promise me something. Anything. Sarah doesn't go anywhere without an adult. Not to play outside, not to the bathroom, nowhere. And if DeShaun comes back, you call the police immediately. You don't talk to him. You don't let him in. You just call 911. I will. I promise. Marcus found Sarah in the common room with Carol and Amina. They were teaching her to play poker with candy for chips. Sarah was laughing, winning happy. Sarah, baby, come here for a second. Sarah looked up. But I'm winning. I know, just come here real quick. Sarah sighed dramatically and walked over. Marcus knelt down to her level. Listen to me very carefully. If a man comes up to you and says he's family, says he's your uncle or your cousin or anything like that, you don't go with him. You understand? Okay. I'm serious, Sarah. You stay with Gloria or Carol or Amina. You don't leave with anyone except me. Got it? Sarah's smile faded. She nodded, suddenly scared. Daddy, what's wrong? Nothing. I just need to make sure you're safe. Can you promise me you'll do what I'm asking? I promise. Good girl. Now go back to your game. Sarah returned to the poker table, but she kept looking back at Marcus with worried eyes. Carol caught his expression and excused herself from the game. What happened? Marcus pulled her and Amina aside and told them about DeShaun. About the trial, the threats, the visit to the shelter. Jesus, Carol breathed. Marcus, you need to take Sarah somewhere safe. Where I got no family, no friends with room. I can't afford a hotel. The shelter's the only option. Amina spoke up quietly. Then we watch her. All of us. We don't let her out of our sight. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. Carol interrupted. We're telling. Sarah's one of us now. We protect our own. Marcus wanted to argue, wanted to say this wasn't their problem, but the truth was, he needed help. He couldn't protect Sarah and work at the same time. He needed people he could trust. Okay, he said. Thank you. Over the weekend, Marcus barely slept. Every sound in the shelter made him jump. Every shadow looked like DeShaun. He kept Sarah close, took her everywhere, even stood outside the bathroom door while she used it. Sarah asked him repeatedly what was wrong, why he was acting so weird. He told her he'd eaten something bad at work, that his stomach hurt. She seemed to buy it. On Monday, Marcus went back to DDC. He pulled Gloria aside before he left. You have my work number. Anything happens, anything at all, you call me. I will, Marcus, I promise. She'll be safe. But promises are easy to make and hard to keep. Marcus made it through the morning shift on pure adrenaline and coffee. At 11:30, his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered it anyway. Hello. Heavy breathing. Then a voice he hadn't heard in 5 years, but would recognize anywhere. Hey, cousin. Marcus's blood turned to ice. DeShaun. Been a long time, Marcus. Too long. What do you want? What do I want? DeShaun laughed to sound like gravel scraping. I want 5 years of my life back. I want the respect you took from me when you snitched. I want a lot of things, Marcus. I didn't snitch. I told the truth. You beat that kid half to death over $20. That kid stole from me. Had to make an example. He was 16 years old. Old enough to know better. But that's ancient history now, cousin. I'm calling about something else. Something more important. Marcus's hand tightened on the phone. Stay away from my daughter. Your daughter. DeShaun's voice took on a mocking tone. That's right, you got a little girl now. What's her name again? Sarah. Pretty name. Pretty little girl too. Saw her at that shelter you living in. Tough times, huh, cousin? I swear to God, DeShaun, if you touch her, you'll what, snitch on me again? Send me back to prison. I don't think so. See, I did my time. I paid my debt. I'm a free man now, and free men can go wherever they want, talk to whoever they want. What do you want from me? I told you. I want what you took. Since I can't get my time back, I'll settle for yours. See how you like losing something you love. The line went dead. Marcus tried to call back. The number went straight to voicemail. He called the shelter. Riverside Shelter, this is Gloria. Gloria, it's Marcus. Is Sarah okay? She's fine. She's right here in the cafeteria eating lunch. Don't let her out of your sight. DeShaun just called me. He's threatening her. Gloria's voice went hard. That son of a bitch. Marcus, I'm calling the police right now. Good. I'm coming back. Tell Ray I had a family emergency. Marcus clocked out and drove back to the shelter, going 20 miles over the speed limit. His heart was pounding so hard he thought it might explode. The threat had been clear. DeShaun was coming for Sarah. Not to hurt Marcus directly, that would be too easy. He wanted Marcus to suffer the way he'd suffered. By the time Marcus got to the shelter, 2 police cars were in the parking lot. He ran inside and found Sarah sitting with Carol and Amina in the common room, looking scared but unhurt. He swept her into his arms. Daddy, what's happening? Gloria said we're in danger. Everything's fine, baby. I just needed to make sure you were okay. A police officer approached. Young guy, maybe 25, with a notebook out. Mr. Thompson, I'm Officer Davis. I need to ask you some questions about the threats you received. Marcus set Sarah down and turned to Carol. Can you take her somewhere else? I don't want her hearing this. Carol nodded and led Sarah away. Amina stayed. Marcus told Officer Davis everything. About the trial, about DeShaun's conviction, about the visit to the shelter, and the phone call. Davis wrote it all down, with an expression that told Marcus he'd heard versions of this story 100 times. Here's the problem, Mr. Thompson, Davis said when Marcus finished. Your cousin hasn't actually done anything illegal. He came to a public shelter and asked about you. He called you on the phone and said some vague things. None of that rises to the level of a credible threat. He said he was going to take something I love. He said he'd settle for your time, which could mean anything. Could mean he wants to waste your time. Without a specific credible threat of violence, there's nothing we can charge him with. Marcus wanted to scream. So what am I supposed to do? Wait until he actually hurts my daughter before you'll help. Davis looked uncomfortable. I understand your frustration. What I can do is file a report. If he makes contact again, call 911 immediately. If he comes to the shelter, call us. We'll come out and document everything. If he escalates to actual threats or violence, then we can pursue charges or a restraining order. A restraining order takes time. He could hurt her before then. I know. I'm sorry. The law ties our hands sometimes. After the police left, Marcus sat in the common room with his head in his hands. Carol and Amina sat on either side of him. "This is insane," Carol said. "They won't do anything until he actually hurts someone." "That's what the man said." Amina spoke softly. "Then we protect her ourselves." Marcus looked up. "How?" "We don't let her out of our sight. One of us is with her at all times. We walk her to school. We pick her up. We stay with her every second she's here." "I can't ask you to do that." "You're not asking," Carol said firmly. "We're doing it. Sarah's our family now. You think we're gonna let some piece of trash hurt her?" Marcus felt tears sting his eyes. "I don't deserve you to." "Probably not," Carol said with a slight smile. "But you got us anyway." The next week passed in a blur of hypervigilance and fear. Marcus went to work each day feeling like he was abandoning his daughter to danger. Carol and Amina rotated shifts watching Sarah. They walked her to school in the morning, picked her up in the afternoon, stayed with her every second in the shelter. Sarah complained about the constant supervision, but seemed to understand it was important. DeShaun didn't make another appearance, didn't call, didn't show up at the shelter. Marcus started to hope maybe he'd moved on, found another target for his rage. Started to think maybe they'd get through this after all. He should have known better. On Friday, Marcus's second paycheck hit. Another $1,400. Combined with what he'd saved from the first check, he now had $2,600 in the bank. Not quite enough for an apartment, but close. Maybe one more paycheck and they could start looking. He told Sarah about it at dinner that night. "2 more weeks, baby girl. Maybe 3. Then we're out of here." Sarah's face lit up. "Really? Our own place?" "Our own place. Can I have my own room?" "Absolutely. We'll get you a bed and everything. You can pick out the color for the walls." "I want purple." "Purple it is." They went back to the shelter in high spirits. Sarah ran ahead to tell Carol and Amina the good news. Marcus followed more slowly, his phone in his hand, checking his bank balance one more time just to make sure the money was real. He didn't notice the black van parked across the street. Didn't see the 2 men watching the shelter entrance. Didn't see DeShaun in the driver's seat smoking a cigarette and smiling. Saturday morning, Marcus had to work a half-day. Inventory audit. Ray needed all supervisors present. Marcus almost called in sick, but they needed the money. Every hour of overtime got them closer to that apartment. He pulled Carol and Amina aside before he left. "I'll be back by 1. Don't let her out of your sight." "We won't," Amina promised. "Not for a second," Carol added. Marcus kissed Sarah goodbye. "Be good for Carol and Amina, okay?" "I will, Daddy." He left for work. It was the last time he saw his daughter for 16 hours. At the shelter, Sarah was playing cards with Carol when Amina got called to the office. Gloria needed her to fill out some paperwork about her Medicaid application. Amina hesitated. "I should stay with Sarah." "I got her," Carol said. "Go handle your business. We'll be right here." Amina left. Carol and Sarah continued their card game. 10 minutes passed. 15. Sarah started getting antsy. "I need to use the bathroom." "Okay, let's go." They walked down the hallway toward the women's bathroom. Carol waited outside while Sarah went in. 1 minute. 2 minutes. Carol heard the toilet flush, heard the water running. Then she heard Sarah scream. Carol burst through the bathroom door. It was empty. The window was open, broken. Glass on the floor. And Sarah was gone. Carol ran to the window and looked out. The alley behind the shelter. A black van peeling away. She saw Sarah's face in the back window, saw her pounding on the glass. "No!" Carol screamed. "Sarah!" She ran back to the office, her heart pounding. "Gloria! Call the police. Sarah's been taken." Gloria grabbed the phone. Carol ran to find Amina. They met in the hallway. "What happened?" Amina's face was white. "Someone took her. Through the bathroom window." I only looked away for a second. We have to call Marcus. Gloria was already on the phone with 911. Carol pulled out her cell phone with shaking hands and called Marcus. He answered on the first ring. Hey, Carol, everything okay? Marcus? Her voice broke. Sarah's gone. There was a long silence. Then Marcus spoke, his voice completely flat. What do you mean, gone? Someone took her. Through the bathroom window. A black van. Marcus, I'm so sorry, I only turned away for a second. I'm coming. The line went dead. Carol stood there with the phone in her hand, tears streaming down her face. Amina put her arms around her. This is my fault, Carol sobbed. I was supposed to watch her. It's not your fault. It's DeShaun's fault. Marcus trusted me. He trusted us. And we're going to help him get her back. Come on. We need to tell the police everything we know. By the time Marcus got to the shelter 20 minutes later, driving like a madman and running 2 red lights, the police were already there. Same officer from before Davis, plus 2 detectives and a sergeant. Marcus ran up to them. Where's my daughter? Davis stepped forward. Mr. Thompson, we're doing everything we can. That's not what I asked. Where is she? We don't know yet. We've issued an Amber Alert. We have officers searching. Marcus grabbed Davis by his vest. You said you couldn't do anything until he made a move. Well, he made a move. He took my little girl. 2 officers pulled Marcus back. The sergeant, an older black man with gray hair, spoke calmly. Mr. Thompson, I understand you're upset, but we need you to calm down and help us. Can you do that? Marcus was shaking all over. He nodded. Good. Now you think your cousin DeShaun did this. I know he did it. Do you know where he might take her? Marcus tried to think, but his brain was short-circuiting. Where would DeShaun go? He didn't know. DeShaun had been in prison for 5 years. His old haunts might be gone. His old crew might have scattered. I don't know, Marcus admitted. I don't know where he'd go. What about friends? Family places he used to hang out. His mama's dead. His daddy's been in prison since we were kids. He used to run with some guys on the east side, but that was years ago. Names? I don't remember. Big Tommy, Little Ray. I don't know, man. I testified against him. I wasn't exactly keeping up with his social circle. The sergeant made some notes. All right. We'll start checking known associates. Meanwhile, I need you to stay by your phone in case he calls with demands. Demands? Marcus's voice rose. You think this is a ransom thing? I don't know what this is yet, Mr. Thompson, but kidnappers usually make contact. If he does, we need you to keep him on the phone as long as possible so we can trace the call. Carol and Amina appeared at Marcus's side. Carol's eyes were red from crying. Marcus, I'm so sorry. I should have... Not now, Carol. His voice was harsh. Carol flinched like he'd slapped her. Marcus knew he was being unfair, knew this wasn't her fault, but he couldn't deal with her guilt on top of his own terror. The police asked more questions. What was Sarah wearing? Pink jacket, jeans, light-up sneakers. Did she have any identifying marks? Small birthmark on her left shoulder. Medical conditions. Number medications? No. They took statements from Carol and Amina and Gloria and everyone else in the shelter. They dusted the bathroom for prints. They looked for tire tracks in the alley. They did all the things police are supposed to do, but Sarah was still gone. Hours passed. The Amber Alert went out across Michigan. Sarah's face appeared on highway signs and news broadcasts. Marcus's phone blew up with messages from people he barely knew offering prayers and support. None of it helped. None of it brought Sarah back. At 6 p.m., Marcus's phone rang. Unknown number. This is him, Marcus said to the police. They scrambled to start the trace. Marcus answered. DeShaun. Hey, cousin, you missing something? Rage filled Marcus's vision with red. Where is she? She's safe, for now, scared crying for her daddy but safe. I swear to God if you hurt her, you'll what? You already did the worst thing you could do to me. Now it's my turn. Now you get to feel what I felt. Helpless, powerless, watching everything you love get taken away. Please. Marcus's voice cracked. Please, DeShaun. She's 8 years old. She didn't do anything to you. This is between me and you. That's where you're wrong, cousin. See, when you got me locked up, you didn't just hurt me. You hurt my mama before she died. You hurt my girl. You hurt my whole life. So now I'm gonna hurt yours. Eye for an eye. That's biblical. What do you want? Money. I got $2,000 saved. You can have it. All of it. Just give me back my daughter. DeShaun laughed. I don't want your money, Marcus. I want you to suffer. I want you to know what it feels like to lose everything. Maybe in a few days after you've had time to really feel it, I'll let her go. Or maybe I won't. Haven't decided yet. DeShaun, please. The line went dead. Marcus stood there with the phone in his hand, shaking. The police looked at each other. Did you get the trace? Marcus asked. Davis shook his head. Not long enough. He knew what he was doing. Marcus wanted to put his fist through a wall. Instead, he just stood there feeling more helpless than he'd ever felt in his life. More helpless than when Linda died. More helpless than when they lost the house. Because this was Sarah, his baby girl, and he had no idea how to save her. Carol touched his arm gently. Marcus, we're going to find her. How? We don't know where she is. We don't know where DeShaun would take her. We don't know anything. Then we figure it out. We start with what we do know. Marcus looked at her. What do we know? We know DeShaun's been out of prison for 5 weeks. We know he found you somehow, which means he's been asking around. Maybe somebody knows where he's staying. Amina stepped forward. I saw the van. Black older model. Had a dent in the back bumper. And I saw part of the license plate. Started with BFT. The sergeant perked up. That's something. We can run a search. Black van license starting with BFT registered to anyone connected to DeShaun Thompson. But Marcus wasn't listening anymore. He was thinking about what Carol had said. DeShaun had been asking around, which meant people had seen him. People knew where he was. And Marcus knew exactly who to ask. I gotta go, he said suddenly. Go where? Davis asked. To find my daughter. Mr. Thompson, you need to let us handle this. Marcus looked at the officer with eyes that had gone cold and hard. You've been handling it. My daughter's still gone, so now I'm gonna handle it my way. He turned and walked toward the door. Carol and Amina followed. Marcus, wait, Amina called. He stopped and turned. You two have done enough. This isn't your problem. The hell it isn't, Carol said. Sarah's our family too. You're not doing this alone. It's too dangerous. We don't care. Marcus looked at these two women, these two homeless women, who had nothing and had given him everything, and felt something shift in his chest. Okay, he said. Okay, let's go get our girl back. The three of them piled into Marcus's Honda. He drove with one hand on the wheel and one hand gripping his phone so hard his knuckles went white. Carol sat in the passenger seat, Amina in the back. Nobody spoke for the first 5 minutes. The silence was thick with fear and determination. Finally, Carol broke it. Where are we going? East Side, Marcus said. There's a bar called Lucky's Lounge on Gratiot. DeShaun used to run his operation out of there. If anybody knows where he's staying, it'll be Big Tommy. Who's Big Tommy? The bartender. He's known DeShaun since they were kids. He's not going to want to talk to me, but he'll talk eventually. Amina leaned forward from the back seat. Marcus, what if he's not there? What if nobody knows anything? Then we go to the next place, and the next one after that. We don't stop until we find her. Marcus's phone rang. He looked at the screen. Ray from DDC. I gotta take this. He answered. Ray? Marcus, what the hell's going on? You left in the middle of your shift without clocking out. I got people asking questions. My daughter was kidnapped. I had to leave." There was a pause. "Jesus Christ, Marcus. I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do?" "Yeah, don't fire me. I need this job. I'll make up the hours, work weekends, whatever you need." "Don't worry about that right now. Just find your little girl. We'll figure out the rest later." "Thanks, Ray." Marcus hung up. His eyes were burning, but he refused to cry. He needed to stay sharp, stay focused. Sarah needed him to be strong right now. They pulled up outside Lucky's Lounge 20 minutes later. The place looked exactly like Marcus remembered it from 5 years ago, when he'd last been here trying to talk DeShaun out of the life he was living. A dive bar with blacked-out windows, a neon sign that flickered and buzzed, 2 motorcycles parked outside. "Maybe you two should wait in the car," Marcus said. Carol laughed without humor. "Not a chance. You think we came this far to sit in a parking lot? These are dangerous people, Carol." "So are we." She reached into her purse and pulled out a small knife, the same one Marcus had seen her with before. Amina reached into her coat and produced a can of pepper spray. Marcus stared at them. "Where did you—" "Homeless women learn to protect themselves," Amina said quietly. "You think we've survived on the streets by being helpless?" Marcus nodded slowly. "All right then, but let me do the talking. And if things go bad, you run. You understand? You get out and you call the police." "We're not leaving you," Carol said firmly. "Carol, we're not leaving you, Marcus, so stop asking." They got out of the car and walked to the entrance. Marcus pushed open the door and stepped inside. The smell hit him immediately. Stale beer, cigarette smoke, something darker underneath. The bar was dimly lit with a few scattered patrons hunched over their drinks. A pool table in the back with 2 guys playing. And behind the bar, exactly where Marcus knew he'd be, stood Big Tommy. Tommy was aptly named. 6'4", 300 pounds, most of it muscle gone soft over the years. His bald head gleamed under the bar lights. He looked up when Marcus walked in, and his expression went from neutral to hostile in a second. "Well, well," Tommy said, his voice a low rumble. "Marcus Thompson. Thought you'd be too scared to show your face around here after what you did." "I need to talk to you, Tommy." "I got nothing to say to a snitch." The 2 guys at the pool table stopped playing. The patrons at the bar turned to look. Marcus felt the energy in the room shift, felt danger crackling in the air like electricity. "DeShaun took my daughter," Marcus said, keeping his voice steady. "I just want her back, that's all. Just tell me where he is." Tommy wiped down the bar with a dirty rag, not looking at Marcus. "Don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do. You know everything that happens on this side of town. You know where DeShaun's staying." "Even if I did know, why would I tell you? You put my boy in prison. He beat a kid half to death, Tommy. What was I supposed to do?" Tommy looked up, his eyes hard. "You were supposed to keep your mouth shut. Family don't snitch on family." "That kid could have died." "That kid stole from DeShaun. He got what he deserved." Marcus felt his temper flaring, but forced it down. He couldn't afford to lose control now. "Fine. You want to hate me. But my daughter's 8 years old. She didn't do anything to you or DeShaun or anybody. She's innocent. Just tell me where she is." "Not my problem." Carol stepped forward before Marcus could stop her. "Yes, it is your problem. Because if that little girl gets hurt, if anything happens to her, you're going to have to live with the fact that you could have stopped it. You think you can do that? You think you can look at yourself in the mirror knowing you helped kill a child?" Tommy's jaw tightened. "Watch your mouth, lady." "Or what? You gonna hurt me too? You gonna hurt a homeless woman trying to save a little girl? That what you are now? Tommy, a child killer." One of the pool players moved toward them. Marcus stepped in front of Carol. "Back off." The guy was younger than Marcus, maybe 30, with prison tattoos covering his arms. He smiled, showing gold teeth. "Make me old man." Marcus didn't think. He just moved. His fist caught the guy in the throat before he could react. The guy went down gasping. His buddy at the pool table grabbed a cue stick and swung it at Marcus's head. Amina sprayed him with pepper spray. He screamed and dropped the stick, clawing at his eyes. Tommy came around the bar fast for a big man. He grabbed Marcus by the collar and slammed him against the wall. "You come into my bar and start a fight. I came into your bar looking for my daughter, and I told you I don't know nothing." Carol pressed her knife against Tommy's side, not hard enough to cut, but hard enough to make him aware it was there. "Let him go," she said quietly. Tommy looked down at her in disbelief. "You got some nerve, white girl." "I got a lot more than nerve. I got a knife and nothing to lose. Now let him go, or I'm gonna make you." For a long moment nobody moved. Then Tommy released Marcus and stepped back, hands raised. "Y'all are crazy, you know that." "Probably," Carol agreed. "Now tell us where DeShaun is." Tommy looked at Marcus, at Carol, at Amina, standing with her pepper spray still raised. Then he looked at the guy on the floor, still gasping for air, and the other one rubbing his eyes and crying. "I could call the cops," Tommy said. "You could," Marcus agreed. "But you won't, because cops mean questions, and questions mean they start looking into what kind of business you're running out of this bar, and we both know that wouldn't go well for you." Tommy's expression darkened. "You threatening me?" "I'm just saying we all got secrets, Tommy. I don't want to cause you trouble. I just want my daughter back." Tommy was quiet for a long moment. Then he sighed. "DeShaun's staying at the old Ford factory, Warehouse 7. He's got some boys with him, at least 3 that I know of. They're armed. You go there, you're probably going to get yourself killed." "That's my problem." "Yeah, it is. But listen to me, Marcus. I didn't know he took your kid. I swear on my mama's grave I didn't know. If I had known, I would have told him to back off. I ain't got no love for you, but I don't mess with kids." Marcus searched Tommy's face and saw he was telling the truth. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Just get out of my bar before I change my mind." They left quickly. Once they were back in the car, Marcus started the engine with shaking hands. "That was insane," he said. "You both could have been killed." "So could you," Carol pointed out. "Good thing we were there." Amina was quiet in the back seat, still holding her pepper spray. "Are you okay?" Marcus asked her. "I'm fine. Just thinking about what comes next." "What comes next is you two stay in the car while I go in and get Sarah." "Marcus." "No. No arguments this time. Tommy said they're armed. 3 guys at least, probably more. I'm not putting you in that kind of danger." "And what are you going to do?" Carol demanded. "Walk in there by yourself against armed men? That's suicide." "Maybe. But it's my suicide, not yours. We're coming with you." "Carol." "We're coming with you, Marcus. End of discussion. You can argue all you want, but we're not staying in this car while you get yourself killed." Marcus wanted to keep arguing, but he could see it was pointless. These women had decided, and nothing he said would change their minds. "Fine," he said. "But if I tell you to run, you run. Deal?" "Deal," Carol lied. Marcus drove toward the old Ford factory, his mind racing. He needed a plan. He couldn't just walk in guns blazing. He didn't even have a gun. What he had was 2 homeless women with a knife and pepper spray, and himself, a 42-year-old former Marine who hadn't been in a real fight since Iraq. They were going to die, all 3 of them, and Sarah would still be trapped with DeShaun. "We need to call the police," Amina said, as if reading his thoughts. "No, by the time they get there, DeShaun could move her. Or worse, this has to be fast." "Then we need a plan." Marcus pulled over on a side street 2 blocks from the factory. Through the chain-link fence he could see the massive complex of abandoned buildings dark against the night sky. Warehouse 7 would be toward the back. He remembered it from when he used to work security at one of these places years ago. "Here's the plan," he said. "We go in quiet. We find out where Sarah is. Then we get her out. No heroics, no confrontations, just in and out." "And if we can't avoid a confrontation," Carol asked, "then we fight like hell." They got out of the car and approached the fence. Marcus found a section where the chain link had been cut and peeled it back. They slipped through one at a time. On the other side, Marcus led them through shadows toward Warehouse 7. The building loomed in front of them, 3 stories of crumbling brick and broken windows. A single light glowed on the ground floor. Marcus heard voices inside, heard music playing. He crept closer, Carol and Amina behind him. Through a window he could see into what had once been a loading dock. 3 men were inside, sitting on old crates playing cards. They all had guns. And beyond them, in the corner tied to a chair with tape over her mouth, was Sarah. Marcus's heart stopped. She was alive. She looked terrified, tears on her face, but she was alive. "I see her," he whispered to Carol and Amina. "We're back corner. 3 guys between us and her." "So what do we do?" Marcus studied the layout. 1 door in the front where the men were. 1 door on the side probably locked. Windows too high to reach. No good options. Then Sarah looked up. Her eyes went wide when she saw Marcus through the window. She started to make noise, trying to yell through the tape. The men looked over. "What's wrong with her?" one of them said. Marcus ducked below the window, pulling Carol and Amina down with him. "Did they see us?" Carol whispered. "I don't know." They heard footsteps approaching the window. Marcus held his breath. The footsteps stopped right above them. Then they heard a voice. "It's nothing. Kid's probably just freaking out again." The footsteps retreated. Marcus exhaled slowly. "We can't wait any longer," he said. "They know something's wrong. We go now." "How?" "The side door. I'm gonna kick it in. When I do, you 2 grab Sarah and run. Don't wait for me. Don't look back. Just run." "Marcus." "Promise me, Carol. Promise me you'll get her out." Carol's eyes filled with tears. "I promise." Marcus moved to the side door with the 2 women behind him. He tested the handle, locked as expected. He backed up, took a breath, and kicked with everything he had. The door flew open with a crash. Marcus rushed in. The 3 men jumped to their feet, reaching for their guns. Marcus grabbed a piece of rebar lying on the floor and swung it like a bat. It connected with the first guy's head. He went down hard. The second guy pulled his gun. Carol threw her knife. It wasn't a good throw, didn't hit anything vital, but it distracted him long enough for Marcus to close the distance. They grappled for the gun. It went off, the bullet ricocheting off concrete. Amina ran to Sarah, pulling the tape off her mouth. "It's okay, sweetheart. We're getting you out of here." She cut the ropes with Carol's knife. Sarah was crying, shaking, but she was okay. The third guy pulled his gun and aimed it at Amina. "Don't move!" Marcus saw it happening, saw the gun pointed at Amina, saw Sarah behind her, saw everything about to fall apart. "No!" he yelled. The gun swung toward him instead. The guy fired. Marcus felt something hot punch through his shoulder, spinning him around. He hit the ground hard. Carol screamed. She picked up the rebar Marcus had dropped and charged the shooter. She swung wild, hitting him in the arm. He dropped the gun. She kept swinging, kept screaming, a woman possessed. Amina grabbed Sarah and ran for the door. Carol followed, still swinging the rebar to keep the men back. Marcus tried to get up, but his shoulder wouldn't work right. Blood was spreading across his shirt. "Marcus!" Carol was at his side, trying to pull him up. "Get Sarah out!" he gasped. "Not without you." "Carol, not without you." She got her arm under his good shoulder and hauled him to his feet. They stumbled toward the door. Behind them, Marcus heard the men recovering, heard them shouting, heard more footsteps. DeShaun's voice. "What the hell is going on?" They made it outside. Amina was waiting with Sarah. Sarah's face went white when she saw the blood on Marcus's shirt. "Daddy." "I'm okay, baby. We gotta run. Can you run?" Sarah nodded. They ran. 4 of them through the factory complex, through the shadows toward the fence. Behind them, Marcus heard shouting. Heard footsteps pursuing. "There they are. Don't let them get away." Marcus was slowing them down. His shoulder was on fire. His vision was blurring. He pushed Carol away. "Take Sarah and go." "No. Carol, I'm shot. I can't keep up. You have to get her out of here. We're all getting out of here. Amina appeared on his other side. Together, the two women half-carried, half-dragged Marcus toward the fence. Sarah was crying, running ahead of them. They heard a gunshot. The bullet pinged off a metal beam near Sarah's head. She screamed. "Keep running, baby!" Marcus yelled. "Don't stop!" They reached the fence. Amina pushed Sarah through first, then helped Carol get Marcus through. On the other side, they could see Marcus's car 2 blocks away. "Almost there," Carol panted. "Just a little further." Marcus's legs gave out. He went down hard on the pavement. Carol and Amina tried to lift him, but he was dead weight. "Go," he told them. "Get Sarah to the car. Call the police. I'll hold them off." "With what?" Carol demanded. "You can barely stand." Behind them, DeShaun and his men were coming through the fence. "There's nowhere to run, Marcus," DeShaun called out. "Just give it up." Sarah ran back to her father, throwing her arms around him. "Daddy, get up. Please get up." Marcus looked at his daughter's terrified face and found strength he didn't know he had. He forced himself to his feet, leaning heavily on Carol. "Okay," he gasped. "Okay, let's go." They made it another half block. DeShaun and his men were closing the distance. 50 yards, 40, 30. Then they heard sirens. Red and blue lights flooded the street as 3 police cars screamed around the corner. The cops must have been monitoring the Amber Alert, must have heard the gunshots, must have put 2 and 2 together. DeShaun stopped running. He and his men tried to scatter, but the cops were already out of their cars, weapons drawn. "Detroit police, get on the ground now." DeShaun looked at Marcus one last time. Even from 30 yards away, Marcus could see the hatred in his cousin's eyes. Then DeShaun got on his knees and put his hands behind his head. Marcus collapsed. He didn't remember hitting the ground. He just remembered Sarah's face above him crying, and Carol's voice telling him to stay awake, and the sound of sirens getting louder. Then everything went black. He woke up in a hospital bed. White walls, white ceiling, the smell of antiseptic. His shoulder was bandaged and throbbing with pain. He tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. "Easy," a voice said. Marcus turned his head. Sarah was curled up in a chair next to his bed, asleep. Carol was in another chair on his other side, also asleep. Amina was awake reading a book. "What happened?" Marcus croaked. Amina set down her book and smiled. "You got shot, but the bullet went through clean. No permanent damage. The doctors said you were very lucky." "Where's DeShaun?" "In jail. Him and his friends. They're charging them with kidnapping, assault with a deadly weapon, a bunch of other things. He's not getting out this time." Marcus closed his eyes, relief washing over him. "Sarah, is she okay?" "She's fine. Scared but fine. The police talked to her. The doctors checked her out. DeShaun didn't hurt her physically. He just wanted to scare you." It worked. Amina reached over and squeezed his hand. "You were very brave. You all were. I was terrified." Bravery isn't the absence of fear, Marcus. It's doing what needs to be done despite the fear. You saved your daughter. We saved her. You and Carol and me. We did it together. Carol stirred in her chair and opened her eyes. When she saw Marcus was awake, she jumped up. "Marcus, you stupid, brave, wonderful idiot, don't you ever scare me like that again." "I'll try not to." Carol looked at him seriously. "When you told me to leave you behind to save myself and Sarah, I almost did. Part of me wanted to. It would have been easier, safer. I know. But I didn't. Because you're family. And family doesn't leave family behind." Marcus felt tears running down his face. "Thank you. Thank you for not giving up on us." "Never." Sarah woke up then. She saw Marcus looking at her and burst into tears. "Daddy." She jumped onto the bed, careful of his shoulder, and buried her face in his chest. Marcus wrapped his good arm around her and held her tight. "I got you, baby girl. Daddy's got you. You're safe now." "I was so scared." "I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I let him take you." "It's not your fault, Daddy. You came and got me. You always come and get me." They held each other while Carol and Amina watched tears streaming down both their faces. A nurse came in a few minutes later. "Mr. Thompson, you have visitors. The police need to take your statement." "Let them in." Officer Davis came in with the sergeant from before. They asked Marcus to tell them everything that happened. He did, leaving nothing out. When he finished, the sergeant shook his head. "Mr. Thompson, what you did was incredibly stupid and incredibly brave. You could have been killed." "I know. But you saved your daughter's life, and you helped us apprehend a dangerous felon. So I'm going to overlook the part where you broke into private property and assaulted 3 men." "Thank you, sir." "Your cousin is going away for a long time. He's looking at 25 years minimum. You won't have to worry about him anymore." After the police left, a doctor came in to check Marcus's vitals. He said Marcus could probably go home tomorrow if there were no complications. "Home," Marcus repeated. "I don't have a home. I live in a shelter." The doctor looked uncomfortable. "Well, wherever you're staying then. You'll need to keep the wound clean, change the bandages twice a day, and come back in a week to have the stitches removed." After the doctor left, Marcus lay back against the pillows exhausted. "What time is it?" "Almost midnight," Amina said. "You've been here for 8 hours." 8 hours. Feels like 8 minutes. Sarah was still pressed against his side, refusing to let go. Marcus stroked her hair and thought about everything that had happened, about how close he'd come to losing her, about how Carol and Amina had risked their lives for a little girl who wasn't even theirs. "I need to tell you something," he said to the 2 women. "Both of you." They looked at him. "When I get out of here, when I get that apartment I've been saving for, you're both coming with us. No arguments. You're part of this family now." Carol started to protest. "Marcus, we can't." "Yes, you can. I got enough saved for a 2-bedroom now, maybe a 3-bedroom if I can find one cheap enough. Sarah gets her own room. You 2 can share the other one until we figure something better out. I don't care if it's tight. I don't care if it's not perfect. We're staying together." Amina's eyes filled with tears. "Marcus, that's very generous, but nothing. You saved my daughter's life tonight. You saved my life. You're family, and family takes care of each other. So unless you don't want to live with us, this isn't up for discussion." Carol and Amina looked at each other. Some silent communication passed between them. Then Carol smiled. "Okay," she said. "Okay, we'll do it." "Good. Because I can't do this alone anymore. I tried. It doesn't work. We're stronger together." Sarah looked up at her father. "Does this mean Carol and Amina are going to live with us forever?" "If they want to." "I want to," Sarah said firmly. "They're my family too." Marcus felt something settle in his chest, something that had been broken for a long time. Not quite healed, but on its way. They'd been through hell together, the 4 of them. They'd lost everything and found each other. They'd faced down evil and come out the other side. They were broken people, damaged people. A homeless recovering addict, a refugee with cancer, a widowed father, and a traumatized little girl. But they were family, and that was enough. Marcus spent 3 days in the hospital. The doctors wanted to monitor him for infection, make sure the bullet wound was healing properly. Sarah refused to leave his side except when the nurses made her. She slept in the chair next to his bed, ate meals from the hospital cafeteria, and kept her hand wrapped around his good arm like she was afraid he'd disappear if she let go. Carol and Amina took turns staying with them. During the day, one would go back to the shelter to sleep and shower, while the other kept watch. At night, they were both there, creating a protective circle around Marcus and Sarah that nothing could penetrate. On the second day, Ray from DDC came to visit. He walked in carrying a stuffed bear twice the size of Sarah and a bag of fast food burgers. "Figured hospital food probably sucks," he said, setting the bag on the bedside table. Sarah's eyes lit up when she saw the bear. Ray handed it to her. "For you, kiddo." Every girl needs a teddy bear bigger than she is. Thank you. Sarah hugged the bear, then hugged Ray's leg. Ray looked uncomfortable with the affection but pleased. He turned to Marcus. How you feeling? Like I got shot. Yeah, I bet. Listen, Marcus, I talked to the higher-ups. They know what happened. They're giving you 2 weeks paid leave to recover. When you come back, your job will be waiting. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Ray, I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Just get better and come back to work. We need good supervisors, and you're one of the best I've seen. After Ray left, Carol whistled low. Paid leave. That's almost $3,000, Marcus. I know. You know what that means? What? It means we can get that apartment now, today, as soon as you get out of here. Marcus looked at Sarah, at Carol, at Amina, at this makeshift family that had formed in the worst circumstances imaginable. Yeah, he said. Yeah, let's do it. The next day, the doctor cleared Marcus to leave. A nurse wheeled him out in a wheelchair, even though he insisted he could walk. Sarah carried the giant bear. Carol and Amina walked on either side like bodyguards. In the parking lot, Marcus's Honda was waiting. Someone had cleaned it while he was in the hospital. There was a note on the windshield in Gloria's handwriting. Thought you could use a fresh start. Welcome home when you're ready. Love, Gloria. They drove straight to a real estate office in Ferndale that Carol had found online. A young agent named Jennifer showed them 3 apartments in their price range. The first was too small. The second smelled like mold. But the third one, a 3-bedroom on the second floor of an old house, was perfect. It had hardwood floors that creaked when you walked on them. A kitchen with appliances that actually worked. A bathroom with a shower that had good water pressure. 3 small bedrooms, one for Marcus, one for Sarah, one for Carol and Amina to share. We'll take it, Marcus said before Jennifer even finished the tour. Don't you want to see the lease terms, the deposit requirements? How much is the deposit? First month, last month, and security deposit. That's $3,600 total. Marcus did the math in his head. With his saved money and the paid leave, he had just enough. Barely, but enough. We'll take it, he repeated. Jennifer smiled. Great, let me draw up the paperwork. 2 hours later, Marcus held 3 keys in his hand. He gave one to Carol, one to Amina, and kept one for himself. Sarah gets her own when she's older, he said. Sarah was running from room to room, her voice echoing in the empty apartment. This one's mine. Can I paint it purple, Daddy? Whatever color you want, baby girl. Carol stood in the middle of the living room, tears running down her face. Amina had her arm around Carol's shoulders. What's wrong? Marcus asked. Nothing's wrong, Carol said, wiping her eyes. I just never thought I'd have a home again. Never thought anyone would take a chance on someone like me. You took a chance on me first, on that first night at the shelter. You gave up your room for strangers. That was different. No, it wasn't. You saw people who needed help and you helped them. That's who you are, Carol. That's why you deserve this. Amina spoke quietly. I need to tell you both something. Marcus and Carol turned to look at her. I got a letter yesterday, from my lawyer, about Fatima, my daughter. And the State Department approved her visa. She can come to America. She can come here. Amina's voice broke on the last word. Carol hugged her tight. That's wonderful. When? 3 months, maybe 4. There's still paperwork, but she's approved. After 4 years, I'm going to see my daughter again. Marcus felt joy swell in his chest. That's incredible, Amina. That's the best news. But there's a problem. To bring her here, I need to prove I have stable housing. I need to prove I can take care of her. And I don't have anything. I'm homeless. I'm sick. How am I supposed to convince them I can be a mother again? Marcus walked over and took both of Amina's hands in his. You're not homeless anymore. You live here. This is your address. And when Fatima comes, she'll have a home waiting for her. We'll make room. We'll figure it out. Marcus, this is already too much. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm telling you. Fatima is welcome here. This family just got bigger, that's all. Amina sobbed and collapsed into Marcus's good shoulder. Carol joined the hug. Sarah ran over and wrapped her arms around all three of them. Group hug, she announced. They stood there in the empty apartment, four broken people holding each other up, and for the first time in a long time, Marcus felt something that resembled hope. Over the next 2 weeks, they transformed the apartment into a home. The shelter donated some furniture. Goodwill provided more. Ray and some guys from DDC helped move everything in. Rashid from the gas station brought over a TV someone had left at his store. Mrs. Chen from the library donated books for Sarah. Carol got a job at a grocery store stocking shelves overnight. It wasn't much, but it was something. Amina started treatment for her cancer at a clinic that worked with uninsured patients. The prognosis wasn't great, but it wasn't hopeless either. Sarah went back to school. She was quieter than before, more clingy. She had nightmares about the kidnapping. Marcus would wake in the middle of the night to find her standing in his doorway. Can I sleep in here, Daddy? Always, baby girl. Always. Marcus went back to work at DDC. His shoulder was healing but still stiff. Ray put him on light duty for the first week. The crew threw him a welcome back party with a grocery store cake and warm soda. It was the best party Marcus had ever been to. One Saturday afternoon, about a month after they'd moved into the apartment, there was a knock on the door. Marcus answered it to find Gloria standing there with a casserole dish in her hands. Gloria, what are you doing here? Bringing you dinner. Figured you could use a home-cooked meal. She came inside and looked around, nodding approvingly at what she saw. Y'all did good, real good. This place feels like a home. It is a home. First real one I've had since I lost the house. Gloria set the casserole in the kitchen and turned to face Marcus. I need to tell you something. About the day Sarah was taken. Marcus's stomach dropped. What about it? I've been carrying guilt about it for weeks. I was supposed to be watching her. I was supposed to keep her safe. And I let you down. Gloria, it wasn't your fault. DeShaun would have found another way. Maybe. But I still feel responsible. So I want to make it right. How? Gloria reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. The shelter got a donation last week. Anonymous. $50,000. The board voted to use some of it to help former residents get on their feet. We're giving you $5,000, Marcus. For furniture for Sarah's needs for whatever you want. Marcus stared at the envelope. I can't take that. Yes, you can. And you will. You showed me something, Marcus. You and Carol and Amina. You showed me that family isn't always blood. Sometimes family is just people who show up for each other when it matters. You three took care of each other when nobody else would. That's the kind of story that gives people hope, including me. Marcus took the envelope with shaking hands. Thank you. This is going to change everything. Good. You deserve good things, Marcus Thompson. All of you do. After Gloria left, Marcus sat at the kitchen table with the envelope in front of him. $5,000. He could buy Sarah a real bed instead of the air mattress she was sleeping on. Could get Carol and Amina actual bedroom furniture. Could buy food that wasn't from the clearance section. Could start a real savings account for emergencies. Could breathe. Carol came home from her shift at the grocery store and found him still sitting there. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, everything's right. Look. He showed her the check. Carol's eyes went wide. Marcus, that's incredible. I know, I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and none of this will be real. The apartment, the job, this check. It feels too good to be true. Carol sat down across from him. You know what your problem is? You don't think you deserve good things. You think you have to earn every tiny bit of happiness. But Marcus, you're a good man. Good things should happen to good people. Good things should happen to you too. They are. I got a job. I got a home. I got people who care about me. That's more than I've had in years. Sarah came running in from her room. Daddy, can I have ice cream? Marcus looked at Carol, then back at Sarah. You know what? Yeah. Let's all go get ice cream, right now. They piled into the car, picked up Amina from the clinic, and drove to a Dairy Queen. They sat in a booth and ate sundaes and laughed at Sarah's jokes and didn't talk about the past or worry about the future. They just existed in that moment together, and it was enough. 2 months later, Carol came home with news. She'd been going to Narcotics Anonymous meetings, part of her custody battle to get Tommy back. Her lawyer thought she finally had a shot. The hearing is next week, she told Marcus. They're going to decide if I'm stable enough to have supervised visits. You're going to get him back, Marcus said with certainty. You don't know that. Yes, I do. Because you're not the same person who lost him. You're stronger. You're clean. You have a home and a job and a support system. Any judge with eyes can see that. The hearing was on a Wednesday. Marcus took the day off work to go with her. Amina stayed home with Sarah. In the courtroom, Carol's ex-husband was there with his new wife and Tommy. The boy was 9 now, tall for his age, with Carol's eyes. Carol couldn't stop staring at him. She hadn't seen him in 3 years. He was so much bigger than she remembered. The judge reviewed Carol's case. Her sponsor from NA testified. Her boss from the grocery store testified. Marcus testified about how Carol had turned her life around, how she'd helped save Sarah's life, how she was one of the strongest people he knew. Then it was Carol's turn to speak. Your Honor, she said, her voice shaking. I know I made mistakes. I know I hurt my son. I know I don't deserve another chance. But I'm asking for one anyway. Not for me. For Tommy. Because he deserves a mother who's present, who's healthy, who can show him that people can change. I can't give him back the years I lost. But I can give him a future, if you'll let me. The judge was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. Ms. Patterson, I've reviewed your file extensively. Your recovery is impressive. Your housing situation is stable. Your employment is consistent. Against my better judgment, I'm going to grant supervised visitation. 2 hours twice a week with a social worker present. If that goes well for 6 months, we'll reassess. Carol burst into tears. Tommy's father looked angry, but didn't protest. Tommy just looked confused. After the hearing, Carol got to spend 15 minutes with her son under the social worker's watchful eye. She knelt down to his level. Hi, baby. Do you remember me? Tommy nodded slowly. You're my mom, the one who went away. Yeah. I'm so sorry I went away. I was sick. But I'm better now. And I'm going to prove to you that I can be the mom you deserve. Okay? Okay. It wasn't much. But it was a start. That night they celebrated at the apartment. Marcus ordered pizza. Amina made a cake from a box mix. Sarah made a card that said, Congrats, Carol, with drawings of stick figures. To second chances, Marcus said, raising his glass of soda. To second chances, they all echoed. 3 weeks later, Amina got her own good news. Her cancer was responding to treatment. The tumors were shrinking. The doctors were cautiously optimistic. They said if it keeps responding this well, I might be in remission in 6 months. She told them, crying happy tears. That's when Fatima gets here, Carol said. I know. It's like everything is lining up. Like maybe God hasn't forgotten about me after all. In early December, Marcus got a promotion at DDC, Assistant Operations Manager, $10,000 raise, benefits that included dental and vision, a company car. We're going to make it, he told Sarah that night as he tucked her into bed. We're actually going to make it. I always knew we would, Daddy. Because we're a family, and families don't give up. Marcus kissed her forehead and turned out the light. In the living room, Carol and Amina were watching TV and arguing good-naturedly about what to watch. Marcus stood in the hallway and just listened to the sounds of home. The radiator clanking, the neighbors upstairs walking around, the TV murmuring, Carol laughing at something Amina said. His phone buzzed. A text from Gloria. Merry early Christmas, check your mail. Marcus went downstairs and opened the mailbox. Inside was a Christmas card and a photo. The photo showed him Sarah, Carol, and Amina standing in front of their apartment building on move-in day. Gloria must have taken it without them knowing. On the back she'd written, "This is what hope looks like. Never forget how far you've come." Marcus went back upstairs and put the photo on the refrigerator with a magnet. He stared at it for a long time. 6 months ago, he'd been sleeping in his car with nothing but despair and a daughter to protect. Now he had a home, a job, a family that he'd chosen and that had chosen him back. It hadn't been easy. It had been brutal and terrifying and painful. But they'd survived. More than survived. They'd built something real and lasting out of the ashes of their old lives. On Christmas morning, Sarah woke everyone up at 6 a.m. too excited to sleep. They'd pooled their money to buy a small tree and some decorations. Under the tree were modest presents wrapped in newspaper because they couldn't afford wrapping paper. Sarah opened her gifts with delight. Books from Carol, art supplies from Amina, a new winter coat from Marcus because her old one was 2 sizes too small. Then Sarah handed out her gifts. She'd made them herself with materials from school. For Marcus, a drawing of the 2 of them holding hands with the words, "Best Daddy Ever." For Carol, a bracelet made of colored string. For Amina, a bookmark with a pressed flower laminated inside. "I love it," Carol said immediately, putting on the bracelet. "I'm never taking it off." Amina held the bookmark like it was made of gold. "This is the most beautiful gift I've ever received." They ate pancakes for breakfast, watched Christmas movies, and didn't leave the apartment all day. It was the best Christmas Marcus had had in years, maybe the best Christmas ever. That night, after Sarah went to bed, the 3 adults sat in the living room. Carol was knitting a scarf. Amina was reading a book in Arabic. Marcus was just sitting content. "Can I ask you guys something?" Marcus said. They looked up. "What's going to happen when Fatima gets here? 4 people in this apartment is already tight. 5 is going to be impossible." Amina set down her book. "I've been thinking about that. My social worker said there are programs for refugees. They might be able to help me find my own place. Something small just for me and Fatima." "Do you want your own place?" Carol asked. Amina hesitated. "I want my daughter. But I also don't want to leave you all. You're my family now, too." Marcus leaned forward. "Here's what we're going to do. We're going to stay here until my lease is up in August. By then I'll have enough saved for a bigger place. 4 bedrooms. Maybe a house. Somewhere with a yard for Sarah and Fatima to play. We all move together. Nobody gets left behind." "Marcus, that's too much." "No, it's not. It's exactly right. We're stronger together. We prove that. I don't want to split us up now." Carol set down her knitting. "He's right. We're a family. Families stick together." Amina smiled through tears. Okay, we'll find a bigger place. All of us." They shook on it. A pact between 3 broken people who'd become whole by holding each other up. In March, Carol got full custody of Tommy back. The judge was impressed by her progress. Tommy moved in with them, sleeping on the couch until they could afford bunk beds. He was shy at first, unsure of this strange household. But Sarah took him under her wing, and within a week they were inseparable. "That's my brother Tommy." Sarah would tell anyone who'd listen. "He's the best." Tommy would blush, but Marcus could see the pride in the boy's eyes. He had a family again. They all did. In April, Fatima arrived. Marcus and Carol and Sarah and Tommy all went to the airport to pick her up with Amina. They held up a sign that said, "Welcome home, Fatima," in English and Arabic. When Fatima came through the international arrivals gate, a tiny 7-year-old with dark eyes and a hijab, Amina collapsed to her knees, sobbing. Fatima ran to her mother and they held each other for a long time, both crying, both speaking rapid Arabic. Finally, Amina stood and introduced her daughter to everyone. "Fatima, this is Marcus. He's the man I told you about, the one who gave us a home." Fatima looked up at Marcus with solemn eyes. "Thank you," she said in careful English. "You're welcome, sweetheart. Welcome to America. Welcome to your family." That night, they had the biggest dinner the apartment had ever seen. 7 people crammed around a table meant for 4. They ate Middle Eastern food that Amina had prepared, and American food that Carol had made, and the worst pizza Marcus had ever tasted from a place down the street that Sarah had insisted on. It was chaotic and loud and perfect. After dinner, Marcus stood and raised his glass. "I want to make a toast. 6 months ago I had nothing. I'd lost my home, my dignity, my hope. I was living in a car with my daughter, and I didn't know how we were going to survive. But then I met 2 women in a homeless shelter. 2 strangers who had every reason to look out for themselves and nobody else. Instead, they looked out for us. They gave up their room. They gave up their safety. They risked their lives to save my daughter. And in doing that, they saved me too." His voice cracked, but he kept going. "Carol, you taught me that it's never too late to change. That mistakes don't define us. That love is stronger than addiction or pain or fear. Amina, you taught me that faith isn't about religion. It's about believing in tomorrow, even when today is terrible. You both taught me what family really means, and I love you both for it." Carol and Amina were crying. So was Marcus. So was everyone except the kids, who were mostly just confused about why all the adults were emotional. "To family," Marcus finished. "Not the one we're born with, but the one we choose." "To family," everyone echoed. They drank their sodas and juice boxes, and the moment passed. The kids went to play. The adults cleaned up dinner. Life went on. Normal, beautiful, messy life. Later, when everyone was asleep, Marcus stood in the hallway and looked at all the bedroom doors. Behind one, Sarah and Fatima were giggling about something. Behind another, Carol was reading Tommy a bedtime story. Behind the third, Amina was praying quietly in Arabic. This was his family, imperfect, damaged, broken in 100 different ways, but whole together. Marcus thought about DeShaun rotting in prison for the next 25 years. Thought about the cousin who'd tried to destroy him and had instead given him the greatest gift imaginable, the realization that blood doesn't make family. Love does, loyalty does, showing up when it matters does. He thought about Linda and wondered if she could see him now. Wondered if she was proud of the man he'd become, the father he'd been, the family he'd built from nothing. "I kept my promise," he whispered to her memory. "I kept Sarah safe, and I didn't do it alone." The apartment was quiet, except for the usual nighttime sounds. Marcus went to bed in his small room with the door half open so he could hear if Sarah needed him. He fell asleep thinking about tomorrow. About work and groceries, and Tommy's soccer game, and the million little details of life that used to overwhelm him, but now felt like blessings. Because he'd learned something in the past 6 months. He'd learned that home isn't a place. It's not a house or an apartment or 4 walls and a roof. Home is the people who catch you when you fall. The people who fight for you when you can't fight for yourself. The people who choose to love you even when you have nothing to offer but your broken self. And Marcus had finally found his way home.